You're right there, guys, it's Ken from Miniature Wargaming Warriors, and today we're going to be painting up the German Africa Korps. Bit of a different camera angle because I still can't find the tripod for the phone, so I'm using the actual camera we used to record the games. So it's at 50 frames, so it's quite smooth actually. I quite like it. Yeah, just bear with me for 2 minutes in this video because you can see the guys where I'm painting is at the top of the screen. I realised about a couple of minutes in and I'll just move him down. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with is Skeleton Horde on the trousers, and we're going to do Skeleton Horde on the trousers, then we're going to do Skeleton Horde on the rest of the model as well. So like there's 2 coats worth on the trousers, there's going to be 1 coat on the helmet, 1 coat on the webbing, 1 coat on the gas mask holder, and where he's got his ammo pouches at the front there's going to be 1 coat on there as well. So yeah, I've found Skeleton Horde to be a really good colour. 1 coat is nice for like the helmet. You don't want to be doing 2 coats because it's too dark. 2 coats definitely on the trousers because it gives it a bit of difference and it's darker. This is not going to be the most historically accurate Africa Korps you're going to find. You know, if you want to do historically accurate to the colours, you don't paint it in contrast. The reason you're doing it in contrast is because it's quick and it's easy. This miniature took me barely any time to do. I think it's about 15 minutes in total from start to finish. Not long at all. Not long at all, really. So yeah, I'm just working my way around the webbing at the minute with the Skeleton Horde. I've got myself some new brushes as well. From Army Painter, loving the Army Painter brushes. Use the Regiment brush a lot for contrast now, and I also use it pretty much for any other sort of painting I'm doing. I do find if you look after these Army Painter brushes, the tip stays like to a really good point. I've been brush soaping it after I've been finished with it. I've been making sure not to leave excess paint and stuff like that. Yeah, you definitely don't want excess paint up in the ferrule, it ruins the brushes. But yeah, I'm just literally about to move the camera, move the guy down because I'll twig it in a second when I move on to the next colour, which is going to be Ministorum green. This green I find really works really well for the jacket, but again I want to do I do two coats of it because I think the first coat is a bit light. It makes it's a bit bright on the grey seer primer, even on the grey seer primer compared to even the Wraithbone. If it was the Wraithbone it'd be even brighter, but it's definitely going to take 2 coats, so I do 2 coats worth on for the green and for the jacket. I'm not too careful about where I'm going with it, to be honest with you, because again I always do a neatening up phase at the end, which takes a couple of minutes. It's not really that much of a drama. It's contrast paint. You could even just leave it if you really wanted to. You don't have to be super neat. We're getting it so it's a tabletop standard. Just on a side note, when it comes to how I choose and what colours I choose and where I choose to put them and everything like that when I do these videos, basically I just go on the internet, I do a bit of research, look for some picture references through Google, see what I can find, and just do some comparing. Literally hold up my test samples in front of the image, see if it matches. If it doesn't match, will it work a bit darker? Because what you could do, for example, like now, if I wanted to make that darker, or I wanted to make the whole model darker, I could just cover it in a wash. Which again isn't a bad option. It's another option to do, but I quite like the effect that having the 2 coats does to the model. It really does like get the really dark green in the recesses once the model's dry. It does look really nice, and I definitely prefer it. The other good thing about contrast, where it's so thin it acts like a wash, you can really get into all the nooks and crannies that can be a real pain sometimes with other paints. It's like with this now, I'm looking for all the little bits that I'm missing and that I wouldn't normally see until probably later on, once I start for example, once I've done my washes and stuff, I go to do my layering. If I was doing just a normal model, you know, with the contrast, it does tend to flow in there. So yeah, it is a really nice painting system to actually work with. Some people really like it. It's like Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate contrast, especially for historicals, which is fair enough. Everyone's each to their own. Yeah, the whole point of this how-to series is literally you know, sometimes some people don't have time to paint, and yeah, painting with contrast can be really helpful, especially when it comes to like these World War II miniatures, like historicals. Some people really like them, some people really don't, which is fair enough. I understand. I like it in some aspects, I don't like it in others. I think everything's got a place, and I think every technique's got a place. But yeah, I digress. So move on to doing the leather. I use Cryol Brown for this because I'm going to be using snakebite leather for the wood effects on the rifle. But so like the boots are getting the treatment at the minute. There's only one other bit on the model that's going to have Cryol Brown, and I deal with that in the neatening up phase. And that's there's a little bit of webbing strap on the higher hand where he's holding the rifle. That's the only other piece that's going to have Cryol Brown on it. I didn't really use much leather for this. I just didn't see the point. There's not really a huge amount of leather on the whole model anyway, so yeah. The next one I'm going to be doing is Guilliman Flesh. This is probably my favourite flesh colour that's in the contrast range. Probably one of my favourite flesh colours with all the paint ranges, to be fair, even Citadel's Normal, Army Painter and Vallejo and all that. That's the ones I really use. But yeah, this is probably my favourite, and I think it gives the best results. Just literally going around the hands, the back of the neck, try not to miss that, also the face. Make sure to get both sides of the face, it's quite important, sometimes you can just miss it. Guilliman Flesh is one of those colours that once you use it you just won't go back. Is absolutely brilliant. You could just use this on normal models. It saves a massive step sometimes, having to, you know, fill out all details of flesh and bits and bobs. So I think it gives a really good result. Right, okay, this next bit is not part of the tutorial, but I've left it in on purpose because it just proves once and for all dropper bottles are superior, Games Workshop. Sort it out. It's depressing. It's very depressing, but yes, I decided to knock over my skeleton horde, and it made a lovely mess. And yeah, half a pot of skeleton horde wasted. Give me dropper bottles every day. That there is perfectly good paint going to waste. Wouldn't happen if I had a dropper bottle. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh well, let's get on with the tutorial. So I'm moving in with the skeleton horde now, again just to do the gas mask case. Forgot to do this earlier in the tutorial. If you look at the helmet as well, you can see there's a massive pool of skeleton horde up the top there. I ideally want it really like the gas in the case. I went too heavy with it, so I'll try rubbing some of it off. Leaves a little bit of a mark, which isn't a massive drama because it actually adds to the I think the authenticity of the helmet. I think it looks quite good actually when it's done. You'll see right at the end in the pictures. It does look pretty good. I do go over it again with the Gracia and then paint skeleton horde over it very lightly though. But what we're going to move on to now is I'm going to use Gargant fur, and that's just to do like the canteens, the fur bits, like what I would call the fur bits. I think they look nice on brown. I'm just going to do those two. There's two bits to really use on there, and that's pretty much it for the Gargant fur for this model. It's literally those two bits there. You could go in, you can see the straps are there, you could go in afterwards if you want and neaten it up again and do the skeleton horde over that if you really want. But again, these models are not designed to, you know, have the most detail over them. They're just there to get them onto the table. Next thing we're going to go to is we're going to do all the wood parts. So not forgetting on the German stick grenade is a wooden handle, so we're going to use snakebite leather for this. It's my favourite colour for wood. And again, it works either way. It works really well as a leather and it really works well as a wood, but I don't use it on the wood and if I've got leather parts because it just looks wrong. It just looks weird because it looks like you've got wooden webbing straps. So if I've got a model that's not got any like wood weapons or anything like that, I use it for leather. A bit like the Cat-Chan Jungle Fighters. It's really good for that. But go in on the rifle, just cover it in snakebite leather. It looks really cool. And once again guys, just heads up, be sure to check out the Facebook group if you're enjoying the tutorials and stuff. There's a link in the comments below and also the Patreon page. And guys, just remember to check out the Facebook group. Got quite a few users now, which is really cool. We're always sticking pictures up and having comments on each other's work, safe space and all that jazz. And we've also got the Patreon page, so if you feel like going onto Patreon, there's a link in the comments below. One thing I do find with when I'm painting rifles, because obviously you paint a lot of rifles doing bolt action, you know, if it accidentally goes on any of the metal parts, the snakebite leather, you do have to realistically wait for it to dry. If you want, you can cover it over in basilica grey. Don't have to straight off the bat off the snakebite leather, but what I find easier is I just go with the main primary colour again and then put the basilica grey over the top of that, because otherwise I find. So now we're going to move on to painting the bedroll. I've purposely done this in like a lighter colour because obviously desert environment, it's going to be Agros dunes. Not sure if it's historically accurate or anything like that, but I feel like it would look nicer on the model, so that's why I've chosen to do it. That's the thing with this contrast paint, right, is may not be 100% historically accurate, but if it looks good, you know, then I can't see the problem with it really. It's my own personal preference, everyone's to their own, and your mileage may vary and all that sort of jazz, but for me, I'd rather have the model look nicer than it be 100% historically accurate. You know, now we're going to be starting to do the basilica grey for all the metal parts on the model, so on the rifle, making sure to get the rifle tip, also the bolt, on the grenade. You know, I also did the top of the canteens in basilica grey as well. Some of it I gave 2 coats, so like the top of the canteens, once the model was completely dry, I gave it a second coat. A bit like the jacket, you'll start to see the effects of that in a second. Overall though, the model's pretty much done. It hasn't taken that long. You know, the only thing I do now is just going in and doing the neatening up phase. Pretty much complete. I'm going to do a dip base on it, so I'm using Luke APS's dip, what is it, base ready range. Which one was the one I used? I used the deserty one with the glue. He's got like this fast drying PVA glue. Got it in my hand now. Yeah, it is actually really good, really fast drying. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Really impressed with it. You can see I'm just going in with a second layer now of on the trousers, just to make it that bit darker, and I'll be doing the same with the jacket as well, just to darken that up a little bit. Some people might say that's dark enough, but I'll darken it up just a tad more. There's the little mark I made, my little mistake on the helmet, but you'll see at the end after I've finished knitting up with the pictures, you'll see that that helmet is a lot lighter to what it is now. And I think it does look really good and makes the model pop. But overall, really enjoyed painting this model. It's actually broadened my eyes a little bit, because I am debating now, because I was going to do these Africa Korps, because I've got the old project going at the minute for the 9-month not buying a model. I was going to do them in like traditional style of painting, so just like with the normal sort of paints. But now I've seen this in contrast and seen how quick it is with the dip and that, it is tempting me to do it in contrast, to be honest. Be nice to hear everyone's comments and thoughts below. I know a lot of people don't like in historically accurate models, but I'm not here for that. I just want to know, do you think it looks good? Because that's one of the main things I get criticism wise. People go, it's not historically accurate. It's fair enough. You know, you're not going to match the palette. These paints weren't really designed for World War II men, like Germans and British soldiers and US. They weren't designed for that. They're fantasy sort of thing and sci-fi, but you have to adapt stuff to things, and I just saves so much time. It really does. Just saves so much time. And the thing is, you could give this a dry brush after, of like a sandy sort of sandy dust colour all over the model, just to give it a dusty effect, just to make it that little bit better. But you can see now the helmet's like more of a white, because I use Wraithbone instead of what do you call it, the Eshin Grey from Games Workshop. I use the Wraithbone because one, I had it handy, and two, I wanted it lighter, so just to make that skeleton horde a bit lighter. But you can see, like, on the side of the helmet there's a little bit. So at this point I'm really trying to be careful with the amount of skeleton horde I'm putting on. I'm really just trying, like you can see, I'm really trying to do it really thin. I don't want it pulling up or anything like that. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do. I put a tiny bit more on the front because it's definitely much nicer, thinner. Anyway, I think it does look much better. But I'll just go in now and I just finished neatening up like the webbing straps and bits and bobs. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole model is done. It did take only about 15 minutes, so it's yeah, well happy with it, to be honest. Well happy indeed. Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys. Give you some pictures now of the finished model once it's all dry and based it. It literally took like 30 seconds to base it, which was like incredible. But that dip stuff works really well. But yeah, well, thanks for watching anyway. Hope you enjoyed this contrast video. Obviously there's going to be more in the future, and don't forget to subscribe and like and share the video. Thanks very much. Bye.